south from Chesapeake City. Broke up the ice in the canal all the way down to about Grove Point. So it's opening the channel for commerce to travel through the C&D Canal from the Delaware Bay to the Baltimore Bay and back. We covered about 26 miles today, round trip. Today what we saw was about 6 to 8 inch packed ice. So the layers of ice are forming like 6 to 8 inches thick and then packing on top of each other.
Last year, the ice there was more ice, but it was more spread out. This year, everything came at one fell swoop. We're going to have to be a lot more proactive at this particular point to keep on top of it. So like this, what you see right now, we broke yesterday morning. We already got 2 inches of pre-frozen ice on top of it.
Once they sit on top of each other and they stack up, they'll eventually solidify. Not as strong as the new ice that forms all together as one, but it is pretty strong. And once it gets to be that thick, it is pretty problematic to break up. Further complicated is the wind pushing from the west, pushing it into the channel, so that as soon as you clear a path, the wind pushes it right into the channel and closing it up. As the Coast Guard, we're pretty limited in our icebreaking assets. So when a vessel went down due to mechanical issues, we came down from Delaware Bay to help them out in Baltimore area. Now that they're back up and running, we'll help them out for another couple days and then head back up to Delaware Bay.
You could feel the tension going into the final day of a world-class event staged in the picturesque fishing village of Howth in Ireland. All eyes were on America's Cup winner John Bertrand, leading the regatta with 2 races to go. But 43 crews from 10 nations were competing, each with a story to tell. One story we couldn't resist following was of Julia and Graham Bailey, husband and wife, top lawyers, passionate about sailing and this quality class, and actually performing brilliantly in the top 10. Why is this interesting? Well, because they were helming different boats, competing against each other.
Sometimes we sail together, but it's quite fun to sail apart sometimes. She's put her own team together for this one, so we're competitors this time.
Yeah, we compete, and I'm aware of where he is on the racecourse, partly because I know he's so good. So if he's there must be a reason.
Well, in a sort of TV way, we tried to dig up a bit of worldwide wrestling-style banter, but in truth, they were rather civilised about their rivalry. Maybe it's a British thing.
I wouldn't even describe it as rivalry. I mean, if Graham wins a race and we're second, I'm delighted.
The needle is, it doesn't actually exist. I'm just delighted to see her doing so well. I mean, she'd always watch the boat with the improving series, which currently is Julia. I mean, she's going to be a dangerous boat.
As we flew in and out of the harbour, we were curious about what all the fishing boats were actually pulling up.
I'm fishing for crab, brown crab, lobster and velvet crab. Well, I've been always around fishing boats all my life. Families had boats and that for many generations. As a child, it was a great place to grow up. I mean, you had the sea and the harbour, and also you had the mountains. That's a lobster. About 3/4 of a kilo in weight. Look well on the plate.
Talking of plates, if you're a fan of seafood, it's really not that far to the table here.
Howth is very famous for the seafood restaurant, and we are offering halibut and monkfish, sea bass, sole. That's very popular in sole in here, and prawns and oysters and everything. All seafood items we are serving here.
In the regatta, on the final day, only one boat could attack John Bertrand, Ante Razmilovic from Hong Kong. Unfortunately, Ante's team had a nightmare with a jib halyard breaking, which made them late to the start and totally broke their rhythm.
3, 2, 1.
It was all looking good, though, for Bertrand, a slick sailor by all accounts.
We've been talking about him here in the committee boat. And 2 things. You don't see John Bertrand at all before the start of a race. He's out there, he's not making any fuss, there's no confusion. You're never calling his bow number, boats coming up to the start. He's never pushing lines. The first time you really see him is emerging out in the top 3 or 4 positions at the top marks of the course. He's a remarkable man.
In glorious conditions, with the sun shining in this picture postcard setting, John Bertrand nailed race 8 with a bullet. He didn't even need to go out and race in the 9th. He'd won the event, the World Etchells Championship, after 20 years of trying. We jumped aboard to chat to John and his crew.
Conditions here were superb this week, so we're very fortunate. And I just, to have a team like this sailing, on the boat, it's just a joy. Just hardly anything is said on the boat. It's so quiet and serene with the tactics and so on, and because we're trying to balance Mother Nature with all the boats around us and, piece it all together, piece the jigsaw together. So just to race with a red-hot crew like this is, to me, is a real thrill.
I've just learned how good John is at sort of keeping the communication going on the boat, and when we have a problem with the boat, if the boat's not going well through the water, John's the first person to say, oh, we need to change this, and our tuning partners were saying yesterday, if they're ever quicker than us, it's only for a few seconds and we'll make the adjustments and we're straight on pace again. So John's excellent in identifying that, and yeah, it's an honour to sail with him and also Andrew.
What's the secret of the magic of John Bertrand?
Oh, well, I guess Careful what you say,
Since
Andrew.
probably before Tommy was born, you know, John won the America's Cup. It was pretty amazing. I was a young kid back then, so there's that aspect to have the opportunity to sail with John is amazing. And you know, he's been sailing in this class for 20 odd years, and this is the first time he's won the world. So to be part of that with him, I think both for Tommy and I, it's tear in the eye stuff. You know, it's fantastic.
That's it from Howth, a cracking club that hosted a cracking event. As all 43 teams packed up, they took a slice of magic with them that'll be treasured on the mantelpiece of their hearts.
It's been an intense day for the Barcelona World Race as two boats have already passed the mythic Cape Horn. Second in the regatta, Neutrogena with Guillermo Altadil and José Muñoz passed the Cape this morning at 2 hours 12 minutes UTC. The crew rounded the Cape under a 40-knot wind and with huge waves. This is the 7th time for Guillermo Altadil.
It was quite tough. The rounding horns was quite windy. Some squalls with 45, 50 knots of wind and really big waves, more than predicted. We thought it was going to be only 35 knots and normal waves, but it was huge waves. So we have to make a couple of drives, which was not easy in the middle of the night. And yeah, it was a bit complicated. And now we are getting north and we go to pass the Le Maire Strait. It's another complicated place because still windy and we have to do a couple of jobs. Quite a lot of current as well in a narrow passage. You say it's a lot of miles, but it's quite complicated. So the last 74 hours was full on. And for the next couple of days, we will get some southwesterly wind, which is going to be good for we can gain north pretty quick. And then unfortunately it's going to be north wind, which is going to be upwind. But at least the next couple of days we can gain north straight away.
And without a doubt, this is a historic day for the Altadil family, because Guillermo's son Willie this morning won the 4th stage of the Volvo Ocean Race on board Mafre. Returning to Neutrogena's crew, for the Chilean sailor José Muñoz, this was his 2nd time to pass Cape Horn, an opportunity in which he wanted to pay homage to his friend Felipe Cubillos, who died in a plane crash in 2011 and with whom he sailed round the world for the first time. On the other hand, Gais Centros Auditivos has been the 3rd boat in the Barcelona World Race to round Cape Horn. It did so today, Saturday, at 12:32 UTC, some 10 hours after Neutrogena and 3.5 days after the leader Cheminée Pujolat. Ana Curbella and Gerard Marin passed within 6 miles of the most southern of the 3 major capes in this round the world with a 28-knot wind and very rough seas with 5-meter waves. The rounding of Cape Horn is symbolic, but isn't a complete relief. During the ascent along the South Atlantic, the boats will face headwinds, especially along the Brazilian coast between Rio de Janeiro and Recife, and they will need to be cautious so as to not break anything.